Thank you so much, Speaker. I'd like to start by saying how heartbreaking it is to see what's happening in the Ukraine. Women, men, and children are standing up to Putin's tyranny to protect their democracy under attack. 6 weeks ago, the people in Ukraine were taking their kids to school, eating out in restaurants, planning for their future, simple things we often take for granted. What's happening in Ukraine right now shows just how fragile our democracy is and how strong the Ukraine people are. In the words of a Holocaust survivor, Tom Lantos, the veneer of civilization is paper thin. We are its guardians. We can never rest. All of us have a next chapter after the writ drops in 27 days. And while I'm not seeking a third term as the MPP for Burlington, let me be clear, I am not retiring. In fact, the opposite. I am going to run for Halton Regional Chair. What we learn and experience as children and youth can have a lasting impact throughout our lives. My mother passed when I was 10, and every single morning that I can remember, she used to say, "Go out and make a difference." At the time, I used to think it was so odd that she would say that, but then that's where I got my strength. And I used to say it to my children, and amazingly enough, they all say it to my grandchildren and their children. I remember when I ran, I was 50 years old, and I decided to run for Ward 1 councillor. And Ron Joyce, who used to own Tim Hortons, who was passed, before we turned the TV on, he said, "Jane, you've already won, because the difference between a winner and a loser is a loser never tries. So regardless of the outcome," I was dead last, but regardless of the outcome, it was a wonderful experience, and I loved every minute of it. I remember the first time I came here under the leadership of Tim Hudak. My knees were shaking. I was absolutely petrified, and I sat where my good friend Percy Hatfield is sitting. And my first seatmate was Minister McNaughton. And I was never so nervous. All I thought to myself was, my gosh, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to understand what exactly is expected of me? But I want to just reminisce on a few things. Everyone remembered John O'Toole, the member for MPP for Durham. He sat in here from 9 to 6. He never left his seat, except he would hide a cookie in one of the drawers for fear that somebody would eat one of the cookies and he didn't have a chance to eat it. He was a wealth of information. I learned so much from him. He honestly would have newspaper after newspaper, and it didn't matter what the topic was. He would get up and talk, and he was just a phenomenal person, and I want to thank him for all that he gave to me while I was here. My good friend Frank Lace, when he took his glasses off, you knew it was go time for Frank. And I want to also say about Lady Monroe, we affectionately called her the late Julia Monroe. I was so touched that she was in our lives, and I learned so much from her. She sat beside me, and I was proud to introduce the Magna Carta Day Act in her memory, and honored to see the bill passed. And I still go to YouTube to look at Minister Fideli's blank pieces of papers. That was so monumentous, and it was a wonderful opportunity, all the things that we did as opposition. And of course, Elizabeth Whitmer, who worked tirelessly for her constituents and the people of Ontario at Queen's Park. And yet she always managed to drive home every day when the House rose and never missed going home every day. I always say to my kids, when you work alone, you make progress. When you work together, you make history. And I can say this as a PC caucus team. During our time as opposition, we certainly made a difference, and I'm very proud under the leadership of Tim Hudak to be able to say that. For those watching at home, after each election, elected members have their name engraved on the granite walls at Queen's Park forever, which all of us have spoken about today, and it's an honour. In the 40th Parliament, my name appears below the former Premier, Honourable Dalton McGuinty, and I always chuckle at this time because I remember the time I asked him if he could put his big boy pants on and show some leadership. All of us elected members have had incredible experiences here at Queen's Park, experiences that have also impacted our families. My oldest daughter, Jennifer, who lives in Windsor, and my two grandchildren, Charlie and Georgia. My grandson came to me and said to me, "Nana, I'm going to run for the Prime Minister of my class, and I'm going to do it because of all the things that I watch you do." And those moments like that touch your heart and soul and remind you that your work every day isn't about us. It's for our kids, it's for our grandkids, and their kids. The work we do and the sacrifices we make as parents is always about looking to the future. In 2018, I was one of 2 MPPs to make a comeback. People often ask me how being in government is different from the opposition benches. For me, the difference has been positive. It's just been positive in our system of government. As Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Labour, Training and Skills Development, I was proud of the work we did to encourage young people to pursue a career in the skilled trades. I had 4 girls and my son was the last, and I got all my gray hair from him, and I think I've told this story numerous times. He said to me, "Mom, I can take your money and go to university, but I'm just going to party and do whatever, or you can jump in the car, get a steep tea, and we're going to go up to Georgian College because I want to get into skilled trades." I've said this numerous times. I was gobsmacked. I had 1 son. I wanted him to go to university. He was always a free spirit. What the girls did, he always did the complete opposite. Anyway, nevertheless, drove up. It was the first time in my life that I never had to wake him up in the morning to go to school, and he ended up with 90%, and today he's 26 years old. I'm proud of all my kids, but he has his own company, Mac Barging, and he's been extremely successful, and I swallowed that because it was my issue, and I'm so glad I encouraged him to be the best he could possibly be. So considering my time as opposition critic for children and youth, it has been very rewarding to serve as Ontario's Associate Minister of Children and Women's Issues. I'm proud of the work we've done in many important areas, including the continued rollout of Ontario's 5-year, $307 million anti-human trafficking strategy to combat human trafficking and child sexual exploitation. I'm holding our ground with the federal government, and negotiating a better child care deal for Ontario families will also go a long way to help women, children, and families over the next 6 years and beyond. I want to acknowledge and thank Minister Lecce for his work not only on getting a deal with the federal government, but on all the investments in child care that have taken place under your watch. I also want to thank our Finance Minister for recognizing the economic barriers faced by women and for working women with the Task Force on Women and the Economy. The people who come in and out of our lives can forever change us. All of us in this place have formed lifelong bonds, friends, who become like family that you can't imagine life without. Regardless of which side of the House you sit on, so many of us have friendships that go beyond the color of our election signs. We're not supposed to say the names of other members in the House, but I'm hoping the Speaker will indulge me so I can thank a few people by name. Percy Hatfield, the member of Windsor-Tecumseh when I lost in 2014. He was the first person to call me. Percy, your friendship has meant the world to me and will always be near and dear to my heart. And thank you for keeping my seat warm over there. Paul Calandra, our Government House Leader and the member of Markham-Stouffville. You have been a mentor, a confidant, and I've learned so much from you. Thank you for your kindness and friendship over the past 4 years. It's going to make me cry. I also want to recognize and thank Premier Ford. Your genuine, honest, and compassionate leadership has inspired so many of us. There has never been a premier in the history of this province who has dealt with the level of unprecedented challenges we've all faced as a result of this pandemic. Your ability to tell it like it has endeared you. Oh, that's so sweet. Has endeared you to so many Ontarians. Premier, I want to thank you for the confidence and trust you've placed in me, for the opportunity to serve in your cabinet, and for always encouraging members of our PC caucus to represent the views of our constituents within your government. As I look around this place, there are so many people who've made a difference in my life, and while I cannot mention everyone, the friendships that we've developed will last forever. I want to thank my very dear friend Donna Skelly. We had a very good time up at the cottage with Jill Dunlop and Christine Hogarth and Robin Martin, and those memories I will cherish forever. I've known Donna Skelly, we were just saying, probably 24 years now, so it's been a very long friendship. I have the privilege of standing here today on the floor of the Ontario Legislature because of my family. My girls, Jennifer, Courtney, Megan, Taylor, and Carrie, who's turned 50 today. Happy birthday, Carrie. And my son, Mac. And my grandkids, Charlie, Georgia, Beau, Crew, and Finnegan. And my daughter, Courtney, is due in June, and she's calling her little guy Ford because of the legacy of Doug Ford. Thank you for understanding when duty called. and I had to miss some important moments, and believe me, I did. Thank you for showing up, to canvass, put out lawn signs, and for many other things you've also done for me. Thank you for loving me, though, because I love all of you. I get my self-worth looking in your eyes. Speaker, when you're 25 or 75, it's never too late to fall in love, to find the one person you can't imagine life without. I want to thank my partner, Hugh, for always being supportive, for wanting to be part of anything I set my sights on, even when his golf buddies were not speaking to him because we closed the golf courses through the pandemic. Though we found each other later in life, our journey together has brought me such joy and happiness. In February, I told the Premier my decision not to seek a third term. It was the most difficult decision I have ever made, but I knew it was my time for change. I remain committed to getting things done for the people of Burlington and Halton. That's why I'm running for regional chair in Halton in the fall of this municipal election, October 24th, so if you live in my area, make sure you vote. I've appreciated the support of the Premier, my colleagues, and my friends in our PC caucus and across the aisle. And I've been humbled by the support I've received throughout Halton regions since I've announced. Serving the people of Burlington as MPP and the people of Ontario in Cabinet has been a tremendous honor and privilege. Getting up every day and having the opportunity to help make my community, our province, better has been one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. I want to thank the people of Burlington for lending me their support and for giving me the opportunity to represent our community in government. As a mother of four very strong women, the words of wisdom that forever changed my life: go out and make a difference. And while the one way ahead of me is shorter than what I've already traveled, I'm looking forward to what lies ahead, and I'm ready to embrace the next challenge. I want to thank, first of all, who's watching today, my constituents, Ken, Peter, and Dan. Dan came out to help. He said he was going to stay a week. It's been 2 years. He's come part-time. Thank you, Dan. I always say I hope you don't find another job, because I can't imagine not having you in my life. And I want to say thank to my team here, the best Chief of Staff, Alexandra, Jamie, and Fizza and Paulina, and CB, who has just left. I bid you all a farewell. Thank you very, very much.